one of the biggest things that I've learned is you don't know what you don't know until you know. And I've kind of taken that and put it into every area of my life. So relationship wise, communicating with Michelle and business wise and trying to learn and grow and just kind of trying to keep that in mind. So to stay learning.
Hell yeah. Always be learning, bro. There's lessons in everything, dog. And dude, no, that's what this channel is all about. So it's really cool to like hear all the different perspectives. This channel is all about the journey to the top 1%. How do we get there? It's by becoming 1% better daily. And so hearing all the different perspectives and like what biggest takeaways are and hearing so many different responses is like, that's the thing. It's like, this is a journey. So you're going to learn different things at different levels when you're ready to hear them. But yeah, man, why don't you go ahead and tell the guys who you are, what you do, and let's get into it.
Julian Fligor, I own Precision Wraps, Southwest Florida, uh, father of three and husband to an awesome wife and founding member of this awesome group here. That's
Fuck yeah.
me.
All right. That's Julian in a nutshell, man. No, I love it, dude. What is it that you say? You peel stickers and lick walls or some shit?
I play with stickers and lick windows.
There you go. That's it. That's it. Fucking lick walls. No, man. So it's cool. You've been the first person that's brought up like you don't know what you don't know till you know it. And I think that's such a huge thing to take away inside of Uncaged. And like I obviously like you and I are closer than a lot. So like I know a lot about like your past and your history and things of that nature, right? And so like I obviously don't want to make it sound like I'm picking or prying, but you know, one of the things that all of us are most proud of you at is like getting you and your family away from like toxic environments and stuff like that. And so like, even just like on a personal level, like, Heather and I talking to you guys, in the intimacy of your own home, but then the intimacy of like the co-ed retreats and stuff like that, where we really get into like the depths of some of these things as you start to understand that like a phrase like that, you don't know what you don't know until you know it, it applies to fucking literally everything. Like it applies to you as a man and how you interact with just yourself mentally. You as a husband, how the way you grow with your spouse, your wife, like as a parent, as a business owner, in the fucking gym, like literally you can apply it to everything. And so like, one of the things from the outside looking in is like, listen, bro, none of us are like a finished product. Like you obviously still have shit you need to be working on. Michelle obviously still has shit she needs to be working on. But y'all are two completely different motherfuckers than, we met y'all a few years ago. So like there's been a very strong um series or chapter of growth in y'all's lives in fucking all aspects. So like can you, and again, a little sidebar is, one of the other things that we learn a lot in Uncaged is how you do one thing's how you do everything. So like here's two big like, I say cliche sayings that we use a lot. You don't know what you don't know until you know it, and how you do one thing's how you do everything is you've applied growth to like a lot of things. Like I genuinely believe you're a better man than you were when we met, a better husband when we met, a better father when we met, a better business owner when we met. Like you look better than you did when we met, like you talk better than you did when we met, like just everything. So like how are you able, because you have all the excuses in the world, like I didn't have a strong father role model, I didn't have a strong um marriage role model, I didn't have a strong entrepreneur role model, I didn't have like you have all these excuses, but like here we are progressing again, progression, not perfect, but like how has that journey been like for you to apply something like this to all areas of your life, understanding that, yeah, you have all the excuses in the world, but like you're not letting that hold you back?
Probably just I don't know, just being around the different people. the I think I made a post the other day about like community, and it made me think like, being in Uncaged and like seeking the right counsel, having you and Heather and like the Jeff and Autumns and, all of these people that know so much more than we knew, it's been an awesome journey. Obviously, it's been a lot of ups and downs, and growth isn't always the easiest. It it's been difficult, but like I forget to look back at where we've come from. And Michelle told me that the other day. I was having a hard day, and she's like, I think you're so hard on yourself because you forget to stop for a minute and look at where you were. Like you said, a whole different person than, a few years ago when we met. And it's it's been a fun journey, and I can't thank everybody enough because I don't know where I would be, like we left the toxic environment. I wasn't the best husband. So I mean, I've done a lot of wrong, and to take, to learn what I've learned around, in the group and from our experts and just being around better people that I am truly inspired by, whether it be their relationship or their financial freedom or freedom of time. So to learn all of that and try to implement slowly, like what's the first step? The first step is to get away from all the bullshit. So to pack up Michelle and the kids and to come to Florida and to start over, I think that was a huge, huge first step in the right direction.
No, man, 100%. And and I've heard you say that a lot, like, um, I can't thank y'all enough, or like I don't know where I would be without this group. And like I appreciate the testament. Just because like I feel like we've all like been through a lot together, we've all had our own battles, but like we've all been like learning and picking up the slack for each other, like especially like all the founding members and stuff. But like as much as I say that, and as much as I want to be biased, is like I think like you would have done this with any group that you found, like obviously that like had good strong morals and ethics, like because like at the end of the day, like you were the one that did the work, like the information's fucking out there. Like we live in a day and age where like I literally think you could be like I don't know how to be a dad, and you get on chat gpt and it like at least puts you in points you in some like information is so readily available these days. And so yes, Uncaged happened to be the vehicle that you receive some of this information, but like we've even kicked some people out because they fucking sit here and they get access to the same goddamn information, but there's still the same pieces of shit a year later is when they joined or whatever the case is. And we're like, dog, like this isn't a place for you to just sit idle. So like you still had to do the fucking work, bro. Like,
No, 100%. Like you said, I definitely, it took me taking action. And I think another one of the biggest things is something I heard you say shortly after we met, and it was, immediate action over perfect procrastination. So like I've always just tried to take action, and sometimes it's kind of bit me in the ass because I need to work on my delivery
yeah,
with some
that's what
things. um, but I did take immediate action. So I mean, it's kind of
but see now
need to be
we
smarter
tripped and
about it.
fell and we learned what to improve now at
No,
least.
yeah, definitely. It took me doing the work, but I don't think, and I say this coming from being wrapped up in addiction, is like you're not gonna change until you want it bad enough, for one. Um, and for two, having the right people around you. So, yes, I could have done the work in another group Um, and I mean, fuck, do we even met in this group?
Right.
But you know, it's all about the quality of people and the people, the influence that they have on you. So, you know, yes, I could have been in another group, but maybe the words wouldn't have been the same. Or maybe that group wasn't really a brotherhood. Maybe it was just a money grab. Maybe they were just a different type of group that pat you on the back and say, hey, you know, good, you know, whatever. But I think the accountability comes a lot into it. Knowing the accountability and just the closeness that we have. I mean, in my opinion, this isn't just a group. I mean, it's a brotherhood, really. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody has a pretty good relationship. It's not like we just chit chat on social media and go back and forth. Like we have the retreats and we are on calls every week, and it's different. So I think what's being built here is different than what you're going to get somewhere else.
No, for sure. And I appreciate that, obviously, because that's what we're trying to build. You know, like I too have been a part of many other groups, and it gave me a leg up because I got to see like what they did right, what they did wrong, what I liked, what I hated, you know. And part of that is like we're building this together, you know, like everyone's opinion matters. But one of the things, as far as like how would someone listening be able to get the most out of Uncaged, in my opinion, is something that you just mentioned is like, okay, accountability. Accountability is like the foundation of what we have. But like while you were talking, like it really kind of clicked with me that because I was about to like bust you out, be like, bro, like out of everyone, I feel like your feet have been held to the fire the most in the group. And you know, to some that can come across as like, you know, they're out, bro. Like they can't, you know, can't take the heat, can't handle the heat, so they get the fuck out of the kitchen. But you like you've stayed and you've let iron sharpen iron, and like it's honestly been like a continuous process with you. It's like as soon as you like start to overcome or like get in a new habit with something, you are like there's a new opportunity for Julian to improve. But none of that comes without you being honest, like you being vulnerable and transparent about like what you need work on. Because I guarantee you, and I hate to say this, that there's motherfuckers in the group that we can't hold accountable because they're not being honest about the shit that they need to fix. And so like that is one thing, like if you are listening to this and you're like, all right, cool, like I've seen Julian from afar. Maybe I haven't even joined Uncaged yet, but like I've seen his transformation or this or that. And like, you know, a lot of guys brag about Julian and a lot of guys like go out of their way to like offer advice or you know even services to help Julian because they want to see him win so bad. How can I get that? Is it starts with like it had like none of us can read minds. No one knows like what problems you're facing, and for sure no one's in this to pick up another fucking job. Like it'd be a whole goddamn job to go try and pull problems out of people. However, it's the motherfuckers that open their fucking mouth, you know, closed mouth doesn't get fed. It's the ones that open their mouth and say, yo, I'm struggling with this, or yo, like this is something is telling me in my life, this is not right. What next? And I think that again, like, I think that's something that like you have yourself to thank because like none of us would have fucking helped a single fucking thing from you if we didn't know that it was like an issue. So like what's that journey been like for you? Because like to my knowledge, and again, I know you more than most, but I could be wrong, as you've literally had no one in your entire life to ever hold you accountable to like improving your life. And it's like bro, you got into this and it's like been non fucking stop drinking from a fire hose. So like, what's that been like for you, man?
It's been, I don't even know, man, if I can really put it into words because, you know, I did lack being the oldest of eight kids and being in that broken home. Like I was forced to grow up super young. So I was making bottles and changing diapers and at the age of 5. And like, I never really, there was so many kids and that I was the oldest. So it was kind of like you got put on the back burner because the babies were important, obviously. And you were forced to grow up a little bit quicker. Um, and there was so much going on in the household that I never really had nobody to hold me accountable for anything. Like I would start something and I would quit. And if something didn't go right, then I would bounce. And so to get around people that genuinely care and that are willing to share the knowledge and to jump on the phone calls and whether it be one-on-one or whether it be relationship wise to where it's like, hey, we're on this conference call and she's going to spew out what's going on with you and you're going to give your 2 cents and you're probably going to get told you're fucking wrong. And but just being around the people that care, and it's made it easier.
Mm.
Not saying it's been easy, um, but it's definitely made it easier to know that it all comes from a good place.
Man, I'll tell
Because
you.
go
Whoa,
ahead.
that was my fault. Man, I'll tell you, like looking back on like just the trajectory of like me personally, like Zach Williams, like even before Uncaged, even before any of the other groups, like going through like my It's What We Do days and stuff like that, and like having to learn. Like I started to surround myself, or started to look at the people that I had surrounded myself with. And like I had my core group of guys or people, just fucking incredible human beings. But then like I started looking at everyone else. And like everyone else, it was all yes men like mentality, right? And as I started to like really audit the people in my life, something clicks where you realize like the person that's like pressuring you, like the person that's like really asking the hard questions is the one that actually gives the fuck about you the most, right? It's all the ones that like are willing, and this is a maturity thing, and I don't know necessarily what caveat the maturity is because you can be mature in one area of your life and not the other. Um, I believe, but like I don't know like where this one falls, but like I'm not faulting any of the ones that were like yes manning me because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. But when I started to really open my eyes and see, like, fuck, dude, like the guys that are holding me to a higher standard, like those are the ones that care. And that's when I started down my journey of like, I wanted to be that in other people's lives. And so, like, as I personally progressed through that, and then here we get into the entrepreneurial world, and like, we're starting to see success there. And then we start, joining these groups and we're seeing success there. And like, I'm kind of, at this very awkward chapter in my life where I'm surrounded by a lot of people that are doing much, 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 much better than I am. But I get held to the same standard as they do because I am someone that people like that want around them because I'm not sugarcoating shit. I'm saying things direct and from like a factual standpoint without emotion, because like that's truly what I genuinely believe. Whether I am correct or not, that's how I believe. Therefore, that's how I speak. And then that started attracting other people to me that acted the same way. And so, like when I pulled myself back and look at Uncaged, you can always see this like journey of someone that's not used to that, right? Like we've seen it time and time again, like in the group chat, a newer member that's never been involved in like a real group like this, they get them feathers ruffled real fucking quick. And man, it's like throwing them to the wolves. And you'll always see who the ones are that come out that are in it for the right reasons because they'll get their fucking asses handed to them, obviously non-maliciously, but and they'll always come back and like, fuck, dude, like y'all were fucking right. Like y'all actually give a fuck. versus the ones that tuck their tails and run. And like, I know like you've had, you being a founding member, you being one of the first ones, like we obviously all kind of figured this out together. So it's like kind of one of those things, like it was gradual change for us, I think, instead of like just that immediate thrown to the wolves feeling. But like as far as like accountability goes, like are you seeing yourself have more self accountability holding yourself to a higher standard because at some point you're going to have to hold someone else in the group accountable, and motherfucker, you better not point your fucking finger at me if you're over there behind the other fucking screen or in your own home life not doing the shit you're supposed to be doing. Like how's that like journey been for you?
It's been I don't even know the word. It's it's definitely, you're right. I definitely do hold myself to a higher standard, and it's, you're self accountable in every aspect of how I do things, whether it be, me and Michelle's relationship and or my fitness or just anything, because, of the pillars that we focus on in Uncaged, it's like I want to be that light for somebody, the way that it's been, the way that the group has been for me, the other founding members. Um, so I do hold myself to a little bit higher standard, and I don't want to disappoint. And I think that's a big thing for me, is because you know, obviously I've got my own issues, and that, what we know, like I've some childhood shit, and I always went through feeling like I was a disappointment. So now that I'm on the upward path, and that we're growing and we're maturing, and you know Michelle and I, and my relationship with the kids, and my fitness and my health and business, and I the last thing that I want to do is have to either one, look at my wife, or two, look at my brothers in the group and say, hey, I let you down, or I didn't act with integrity, or I didn't do what the fuck I said I was going to do when I said I was going to do it, or I didn't show up and be that example for somebody like we would expect each other to do.
No, I love that. And like, you said be the light. And obviously, like that brought up, something that Asa speaks on very, very highly or very, very regularly. And even like personally kind of confronted you about being the lighthouse,
Yeah.
about showing up because like I hate to say it. Well, it's a full circle moment. Because at this point, in your journey, like it is no longer about just you. And I'm not even talking about Michelle and the kids. Like you've been in this long enough, you've made enough progress that people are counting on you, right? And that's the
Right.
whole analogy of being a lighthouse. And it's one of those things, man, like we don't necessarily ask for it. Maybe when it's first given to us, we're not necessarily, happy that we're held to a higher standard now. Like you're like, motherfucker, I wanted to be lazy here and there. I wanted to sleep in. I wanted to not go to the gym. I wanted to eat the fucking shit, whatever. Um, but at some point in our lives, it happens. We become the lighthouse for other people. And now it's no longer just about us. Now, the full circle moment with that is the more that we're the lighthouse for other people, they subconsciously are holding us to that higher standard. Subconsciously, therefore, the self accountability and the self discipline. Um, it just makes us better. And so the better we are, the brighter we shine for the other people. The more people that are watching, the more it holds us accountable, and the more we're held accountable, the better we get. Therefore, the brighter we shine, the more people, the more accountable. Like it's just this full circle moment. And so like you hopped off social media and stuff like that for a little bit. And I mean, obviously, no one's like condemning you for that because you were doing it for the right reasons. And I feel like you needed that reset. But like to finally hear someone tell you like that your light was needed, that you needed to continue showing up to be the fucking lighthouse. Here's someone up to this point. Well, I say up to this point, up into the like relationship with Uncaged, like you've been a disappointment to everyone in your eyes. Like you've always fucked up, in your eyes. Like you've all, you failed your marriage, you failed, your relationships with your boys, to up to this point, you've seen yourself as a failure. And now and that's because no one's come to tell you otherwise, right? Like you're kind of stuck in your own head with this. And now you're in this relationship with a bunch of men that hold each other to a higher standard, but now see something in you. And you have one of the guys that pulls you aside and they're like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like you're a fucking lighthouse. Like what has happened since that conversation with Asa, in the way like you either view yourself or your responsibilities as being the lighthouse, or like what even being a lighthouse means to you? Like what's that been like for Julian?
It's it's been super helpful, especially in the way that I think about myself. Um, and on the hard days when I don't feel like showing up, I do hear Asa in the back of my head, like, "Hey, I was just telling Zach I'm about to come for that neck if you don't start showing up." And I think it, not that it wouldn't have felt any different coming from anybody else, but he shouted me out shortly after he got into the group. Like, I think it was at the first couples retreat. He's like, "Hey, I've started showing up to the gym every day because of you." Um, so just to realize that you're really not as much of a disappointment as you always portrayed yourself to be or thought about yourself being. To know that, just to know that you're needed, to know that despite what you might think, you do bring some sort of value, or you are the lighthouse in some area for somebody.
Yeah.
And whether it be just him, or I mean, whether it be anybody, whether one person or 100 people, like it doesn't take away from the fact that you're still the lighthouse. So it's helped me because I constantly think about that now.
Mm.
And and I think even Brock has sent me a message talking briefly on some things, and so it's helpful, and I don't, maybe helps me think a little better about myself, and I just to know that you really are doing something right.
Um, so there's a few things that I really wanted to unpack there. So you start to look at some of the guys inside of Uncaged, the ones that and again, I know a little bit more about your history than most. So like I know you've had to do it. I've known people in Ace's life have had to do it. I know some of the biggest and most involved members in Uncaged have had to do it, where they let go of someone else's, or they well, they have to let go of someone else's attachment to who they think that they are. I know that is kind of hard to understand. I'll dive a little deeper into that in a second, but like, um, I don't know the science or the psychology behind this. This will be a fun rabbit hole for me to go down. However, there is like a phenomenon or a psychology that like 98% or 97% of the things that we fear are going to happen ever actually come to fruition. And I think it's like something like 92% of those things like literally never happen. Like, genuinely they would never happen in a million years. And then like the other 5% or 6% or whatever it is, um, the report said that the things that they feared did happen, but they were nowhere near as bad as they actually thought they were going to be, right? So it's like we're in a society where psychologically we're in so much fear of all these negative things happening, and literally like 98% of them will never happen. Like we spend all this time suffering over this and it will never come to fruition. I wonder how much of that goes into the science or psychology of these attachments that we think we have from other people. So for example, and I'm going to like obviously throw you under the bus because you've mentioned a little bit of it here. Like I know you had to write a letter to one of your loved ones, um, you know, based on thoughts that you had that they had about you. And in said conversation, it turned out that they didn't think that about you the way you thought that they thought about you. And so it's for me, it's like, I wonder how much of this, of some of the guys in the group and family members of the guys in the group, that we have such a fucking attachment to what we think someone thinks about us that then we adopt that identity. And then the second piece of this that I want to mention is there's another psychological phenomenon that our brains have a extremely hard, some people say it can't decipher. I haven't seen all the studies, so I'm going to say have a very, very, very extremely hard time telling the difference behind a strongly imagined thought and reality. So my issue with this, or my concern with this, and the rabbit hole that I'd really like to like all of us to think about is, again, it's not directly applicable, but the 97 or 98% of things that we fear the most never truly happen. Maybe we can assume those numbers here is like 98% of the things that we think other people think about us, they're not even motherfucking thinking about. And we're so obsessed with this thought that other people have on us that we accidentally consume the identity because our brain can't tell the fucking difference between reality and a strongly imagined idea. So like what does like in your own mind, and this doesn't necessarily have to be 100% about you and your personal life, but like what does that make like, because I'm literally coming up with this as we're talking. Like I'm like, holy shit, like light bulb moment. Like, so this is the first time I've ever even talked about something like this. Like, and I can't wait for the fucking retreat to bring it up. But like, what does that how do you think about that when I say that? Like, as far as your own life is concerned, or your own thoughts rather.
It's crazy to think about because obviously I know the letter that you're talking about and that whole situation. Like to, I, I believe that we get so wrapped up in that, um, that if we don't catch it, it will literally hold you back your entire life. And I think I don't know whether it is past traumas that may cause us to, to believe that strongly imaginable thing over like reality. Um, but I know it held me, I don't want to say it held me back, but it held a strong part of me for a long fucking time because I did think I thought that I was a fucking disappointment when in reality I wasn't. So when I wrote that out and to get the response that I got, it made me think totally different. And it was actually super helpful because letting that go has freed so much. Like just since the last couples retreat, like that's when it all came about. And I really, oh man, like I was clearly had a few drinks because I wasn't even the one in the fucking hot seat at the moment. And I was like, you know what? By this time next week, I will have addressed my own shit. So like I had to, obviously I said that I was going to do it. I threw myself in there, but I'm so glad because it came down to literally the night before. I think I said hey, by next week's roundtable call, I'll have this done. And man, it was Monday evening and I was laying in bed finishing that because originally I wanted to do it over the phone. And, I thought about it and I thought about it and something told me not to do it over the phone. That maybe if I did it over the phone, I wouldn't have got it out 100% the way that I felt. So I knew if I typed it out, that everything was going to come out because as soon as I start down something, it was like it just kind of opened the floodgates and it all came out. And this is what I felt, and this is what it is. But I had it done. Like it was 11 o'clock Monday evening when I finally sent that. Uh, but it was so helpful, like to release myself of that and to know that I got it out. I mean, it improved so much just in my personal life, really. Like not even, I mean, every part of my life, really, but first and foremost, my personal life, because I got it out. And I think me feeling that way or me, strongly imagining that that's how that person felt about me, or that's when in reality, that was me putting that on myself. So me putting that on myself affected the past 30 years of my life. Like affected the way that I looked at Michelle, affected the way that I thought about myself, affected the way that I treated my kids. I mean, every little bit of life it affected.
You don't know what you don't know till you know it, bro.
So to let that, I would encourage anybody to really work on freeing themselves from that because once you let that go and start looking at the true reality, quit looking, quit thinking so much into it. Open up about it. Like open your mouth. Talk to the people.
It ain't as scary as you think on the other side, bro.
It's really not.
It's really not. Have
Just
the
a
hard conversations.
conversation. Exactly.
You know, it's funny. Every time we've ever told someone inside of Uncaged to go have that like tough conversation, and it's the same thing. It's always been a conversation they've either put off for weeks or months or years. They come back and they're like, man, that went so bad. Or, you know, fucking 9 times out of 10, they're like, I got a better response than I was expecting. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, why do we, like, as men, why do we just sit here and dwell on like all the things that could go wrong instead of all the things that could go right?
A lot
Oh,
of it has to do with, I think, just overthinking things.
yeah.
I quit thinking so much and start acting.
Boom. Fucking right. Yeah. That's it, dude. Immediate action over procrastination. Hey, listen, we're gonna fuck up the delivery, but we gotta learn to work on it. Well, dude, man, I fucking appreciate you hanging out. This has been my favorite one thus far. This is some real, like, dude, this is some really good content for a lot of guys that I think need to hear this type of message. Man, what can we do to pay you back for the time that you spent here with us today?
Absolutely nothing. Just let's keep all showing up together and growing. And like Asa says, just keep being the lighthouse for somebody, anybody.
Fuck yeah, bro. Well, guys, if y'all got something out of this episode, please give it a like, a share it with someone that you know needs to hear it. Man, please reach out to Julian and let him know what you thought. Reach out to me if you can't find Julian. Let me know. Like, just we're building a movement here, so we need help getting information like this as accessible to as many men as possible. And that starts with you and your involvement and your engagement on the channel. But I appreciate you, Julian, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.